students, welcome back to a new mathematics program for grade 8. Today we're going to talk about real numbers. This is the third and final part of this chapter. Remember that in the first part we talk about natural numbers, whole numbers and rational numbers. Then in the second part you learn about terminating and non-terminating decimals, recurring or repeating decimals, and about real numbers. In today's video, you're going to learn about approximations of numbers and decimals. So let us begin with rounding to the nearest 10. But first, think about 10. How many zeros are there in 10? Of course, 1. So, if we want to round 23 to the nearest 10, means that we need to write a number ending with 10, which is nearer to 23. We may use a number line. Here they are, 20 and 30. 23 is to the right of 20, of course, but it is nearer to 20 than 30. So 23 to the nearest 10 is 20. Let's take another example. 348. On a number line, you will see that 348 is nearer to 350. So 348 is equal to 350 to the nearest 10. Now students, will you be able to draw a number line for every number? Of course not, especially when we have big numbers. So while rounding to the nearest 10, you're going to consider the value which is found in the unit place. If the unit value is less than 5, then we keep the tens value as it is. For example, 23. Which one is the unit value and the 10 value? Here they are. 3 is called the unit value and 2 is called the 10 value. Since the unit value is less than 5, you're going to keep the 10 value as it is. So 23 equal to 20 to the nearest 10. But if the unit value is greater or equal to 5, then we are going to add 1 to the tens value. Like here, the unit value is greater than 5. So we are going to add 1 to the tens value. So 4 plus 1 is equal to 5. Hence, 348 to the nearest 10 is 350. Now students, we're going to round numbers to the nearest 100. We are not going to use a number line, we are going directly to see a rule to write numbers to the nearest 100. So while rounding to the nearest 100, if the tens value is less than 5, we are going to keep the hundreds value as it is. For example, if we want to round 536 to the nearest 100, remember that in 100 we have 2 zeros. So 536, we are going to analyze the tens value, which is 3. Since 3 is less than 5, we are going to keep the hundreds value as 5. Hence, 536 equal to 500. Now, imagine a number line where you have 500 and 600. You will guess that 536 is nearer to 500. But as I have told you, we cannot always draw number lines, especially when we have big numbers. Like here we have 536. It's quite difficult to represent this number on a number line. So we use the rule that I have just mentioned to you. Now suppose the tens value is greater than or equal to 5. Here you're going to add 1 to the hundreds value. Here's an example. We need to write 790 to the nearest 100. We are going to analyze the tens value. Here it is greater than 5, so we are going to add 1 to the hundreds value. Hence, 790 is equal to 800 to the nearest 100. Now we are going to round decimal numbers to the nearest whole number. While rounding decimals to the nearest whole number, if the tenth value is less than 5, then we keep the unit value as it is. So let's look at this example. Round 4 decimal 2 to the nearest whole number. We're going to analyze here the tenth value. The tenth value is less than 5, so we are going to keep the unit value as it is. Hence, 4 decimal 2 is approximated to 4 as the nearest whole number. Now, if the tenth value is greater than or equal to 5, we are going to add 1 to the unit value. For example, if we want to round 4 decimal 87 to the nearest whole number, so 5 decimal 87, we are going to analyze the tenth value, which is greater than 5. So you are going to add 1 to the unit value. 5 plus 1 is 6. Hence, 5 decimal 87 approximated to the nearest whole number is 6. You know that whole number means you don't have decimal after it. Don't write 6 decimal 0. A whole number is 6 in this situation. Now we're going to round a number to the indicated decimal place. So while rounding a number to the indicated decimal place, if the digit immediately after the required digit is less than 5, then we keep the digit as it is. For example, we are going to round 0.5834 to 3 decimal places. That is, we are going to write this number in such a way that we must have only 3 digits after the decimal point. Here we have 4. We need to keep only 3. But how are we going to do this? So we have 0.5834. We are going to write this number to 3 decimal places. So we are going to keep the 3 numbers after the decimal point. But first we need to analyze the number which comes immediately after the 3rd decimal point. It is less than 5. So the number 3 remains same. 0.5834 approximated to 3 decimal places is 0.583. But what happens if the number immediately after the required one is 5 or more? So we are going to say, if the digit immediately after the required digit is greater or equal to 5, we add 1 to the digit. That is, if we want to round 3 decimal 185 to 2 decimal places, in other words, we're going to keep 2 digits after the decimal point. We are going to analyze the number which is immediately after the required one. Since we are writing it to 2 decimal places, we require 2 digits after the decimal point. The number immediately after is 5. We have said that if this number that we are analyzing, if it is 5 or more, we are going to add 1 to the last number to be kept. So 3.185 approximated to 2 decimal places is equal to 3.19. Let's have a look at another example. We are going to write now 6.99 to 1 decimal place. We are going to keep only 1 unit after the decimal point, so we analyze the number which is immediately after the required one. 9 is greater than 5, so we are going to add 1. 9 plus 1 equal to 10. But it does not mean that 6.99 is equal to 6.10. When we add 1 to 9, it becomes 10. That 1 goes to 6. That is, 6.99 is equal to 7.0 to 1 decimal place. Here, it is important to note that we need to write the decimal 0 here. For the whole number, I've told you that you are not required to write the decimal 0 because we were writing to the next whole number. But here we are not writing to the next whole number, we are writing to 1 decimal place. So we need to keep the decimal 0 here. We need to keep a digit just after the decimal point. Hence, 6.99 to 1 decimal place is 7.0. Here are some exercises for you to practice. In the first exercise, you're going to round the following numbers to the nearest 10. In the second one, you're going to round the following numbers to the nearest 100. In the third example, you're going to round the following decimals to the nearest whole number. Exercise 4, you're going to write these decimal numbers to 1 decimal place. For question 5, you're going to round these numbers to 2 decimal places. Then in the 6th exercise, you're going to write the numbers to 3 decimal places. Students, it is advisable for you to log on the following websites for more reference. So students, in this video, you learn about approximations of numbers and decimals. Well, this program ends here. This program has been the third part of the chapter Real Numbers. Remember that we have 3 videos for the chapter Real Numbers. So, see you soon for another program with another chapter. Till then, goodbye.